You ever notice when things are really going well for you and you're on such a great roll that people will often come up to you and say, "Hey man, you're really on a roll. You're really lucky. You should go and buy a lotto ticket with the luck that you're having." So my question is, how did you feel when people were saying that to you, and how did you feel while you were on that roll? Did you feel like you deserved it? Did you feel like that you earned this luck, that this roll, all this good fortune was coming to you for a reason? Did you feel like you deserved it? So my guess, and from my experiences, it's a bit of yes and it's a bit of no. Because when people have said things like that to me, I have felt it, but I haven't felt comfortable enough to express my appreciation for it, because it's made me feel like that I was a big head, or I was bragging, or I was like, yeah, I'm very lucky, I feel blessed, and yeah, hope it happens for you too. Like, you try and deflect that good vibrations, that good energy away, and try and share it to take the spotlight off yourself. I think for most people, they can access a memory of one time where luck was really with them and they were experiencing really good things happening to them for a period of time. Now, I want you to keep that in mind, because the same could be said when we're on a streak of what we call bad luck. It's just the opposite is happening. And when you're operating on a low frequency, things seem to annoy you a little bit more, a little bit quicker. You ever heard the expression of at the drop of a hat? Like, you snap at everything. You start to talk negative to yourself. You start to believe that nothing is ever going to work out for you, that you're just no good for nothing. And you start to believe that Lady Luck has left you. And you have all these negative thoughts swirling around your mind, tossed in with some anger issues and and a little bit of depression maybe. Now, I remember a time in my life when I was kind of down, but I was about to turn into a high vibration success. I was about to really love and be happy and go on a win streak. And that happened when I was about 22. I had a job interview with the mine site that I was working at, but I didn't get the job, and I was pretty down about it. I was like, oh, well, yeah, okay. Not unexpected, because I hadn't been there all that long, but you're still hopeful that you'll get a job, but I was expecting not to get the job. But one of the things that I did do, I went and had a meeting with HR, and I got them to go over my interview and tell me where I could improve and what can I do better next time. And what that bloke told me in the interview was that I did really well. He was unsure why I didn't get a job. He thought that my answers were really great, and I had potential to get the next job that I went for. So I left that meeting with a really positive mindset. I walked out of that meeting thinking to myself, the next time that I get an interview, I'm going to get the job. Now, fast forward a couple of weeks, I had another interview with another company who absolutely loved me. Now, they told me that I didn't quite fit the requirements of what they were looking for, but they really liked me as a person, and they thought that I would be a valuable member to their team. And they gave me the job. Now, they kicked off a streak of wins for me. For the next 7 years, I bought my dream car. I went back to university. I bought a house, and I was really happy at work. I thought life was great, absolutely fantastic. And for 7 years, I didn't have a worry in the world. I was just living life, having fun, doing everything that I wanted to do in life. I was just, everything that I was doing was pretty well much turned into gold. All the little things that had happened that weren't going my way, it didn't bother me. It didn't mean anything. It was like, doesn't matter. I'm still having a great time. I'm still loving this. Nothing bothered me. I very rarely don't remember getting very angry. I didn't feel depressed. I was on a high of life. And the more that you're on this high, the more you want to share it with people. And the more that other people then want to try and warn you or try to bring you back down to earth. They will say things like, don't expect the good times to last. Enjoy it while you can, but don't expect it to just continue on, because nothing ever stays the same forever. Things are going to change, and something bad will probably happen. And then a sort of a negative thought will will fall into your mind where you're waiting for the other foot to drop or the other shoe to drop. So now you're starting to think like, well, eventually the other shoe has to drop. This does have to end. I better prepare myself so I'm not blindsided by it. And soon enough, the other shoe does drop, but you're prepared for it. And you're like, yep, I knew this was coming. So you're kind of relieved because you knew it was coming, you expected it. Now it's happened. I'm okay with it because I'm here. I knew it was coming. And the reason why it dropped is because now you started to invite it into your life. So now you go into a bad streak. And for me, my bad streak lasted for about 13 years, nearly twice as long as the good streak did. Eventually, that job that I loved, I quit. I thought that I could solve all the problems by just moving to another mine site and having a fresh start and everything will be okay. I'll go back and I'll get back there. But soon enough, after the honeymoon period wore off on that job, I started to see the same problems. These bosses suck. I hate working here. They're all a bunch of assholes. This place is even worse than the one that I just left. So you quit that job, then you move to the next one, and I just kept repeating that cycle, that same cycle over and over again. And the more that I hated going to work, the more I hated looking at myself. I was letting myself go. I put on a lot of weight because I didn't find enjoyment in life. I was drinking heavily and I was drinking alone. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to see anybody. I wasn't happy with my appearance. I wasn't happy at work. I didn't want to socialize. But you also have people that are trying to cheer you up when you're on a bad streak. People will tell you, look on the bright side. It can't last forever. The worm has to turn. You never know what's around the corner. Good things happen to good people and you're a good person. So something good will come. Something good will happen for you. But all the negativity that you're telling yourself, like that you're worthless and useless and life sucks, this sucks. You start watching the news and you only see bad things on the news. Other people have it much worse than you, but you're like, yeah, I fully understand where you are. Like, I get it. This whole world's out to get you. You really lean into that negativity. But then just for a moment, you do start to think and you're like, I am due for a bit of good luck. Nothing's really gone my way this past decade. Probably am due to get a little bit of luck soon. And then something goes right for you. For me, that came in the form of another job. Another company got in contact with me and asked me to come and be a trainer for their company. And I was like, thank God, finally. Somebody actually wants to use me for the skills that I have. So for that brief moment, for that, I was thinking that I'm going to turn it around. Only for about 3 weeks later to find out that the company that offered me a job had been sold to another company and they had put a pause on all new hires. In that brief moment of happiness, I ended up sliding back into disappointment, sadness, and here we go again. So that little bit of a boost came because I saw a little bit of hope, or for a moment I started to think that things could be better. And an opportunity came my way that didn't pan out. But instead of saying that as, hey, now opportunities are starting to come my way, maybe I should just keep thinking positive like I did before 15 years earlier or 16 years earlier, whatever the timeline was, where I walked out of that interview with renewed confidence, with a high vibration of thinking that the next job interview that I'm going to go for, they're going to offer me the job. So instead of keeping the ball rolling and trying to build that good momentum, I just slid back into here we go again. The whole world, it's just typical. And you accept that lower vibration, that bad things just are going to continue to happen. But what's really funny is when you're in a low vibration, you expect the same results. You expect the world to keep being bad. You've accepted that. You watch the news, everything's bad around you. You write off anybody that's a success as, they're lucky, I'm unlucky. You internalize it so very, very much. It's funny because the same can't be said when the going is good. You can't keep the roll going. You're always waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're waiting for something bad to happen. You're always on guard for when that bad thing's going to happen, because this whole world has got you programmed to always expect the worst. There's that saying, hope for the best, expect the worst. Why not just expect the best? When you're on a good roll, don't you want it to keep going? I know I certainly do. I'm now building up that good roll, and I've been building it up and building it up for the last couple of months. And good things are starting to come to me. There is a way. There is a way to ensure that you can keep the good times rolling. And it doesn't matter what the external world tells you. It doesn't matter what anybody else has got to say about it. It comes from up in here. Because if you can believe that no matter what happens, you are going to stay positive. You've heard the term, like water off a duck's back. Where does that term come from? Where does that saying come from? It comes from because like the water just rolls off a duck's back. If the bad things that happen to you, if you don't dwell on them, if you don't digest into it, you don't go and live in that bad moment and then start thinking and remembering all the other bad things, if you just shake it off and say, well, that happened, now I just have to deal with it. And I've put this to practice. The other day, I was selling my car, well, one of my cars, and it's got a slow leak in the tyre. So I took it down to the service station and I pumped it up. And I put a little bit of extra in it so it wouldn't go as flat, because there was somebody coming around the next day to look at it. As I'm backing the car out of the tyre fill station, it popped. So I get out and I look at it and I'm like, oh, God damn it. The day before this bloke's coming to buy it, I go and blow the tyre up. Now I have to go and buy a new tyre. It's going to cost me another 20 euros. I could have really went negative on that, but I just went, I'll get the spare out. Maybe the spare's okay. I already taken the spare off and changed it because it had a slow leak in it too. But I'm like, let's just see what happens here. I've already told the guy that it needs a new tyre. Everything will be okay. Changed the tyre stayed up, sold the car, didn't have a major problem. But I could have went into it in a completely different way if I wanted to stay negative about it. Like, God damn it, now I have to change a tyre. Now I have to go and buy a new tyre. Now I'm not going to get as much money for the car because I've had to go and spend 35 euros on this new tyre. That's 35 less euros that I'm going to get for the car. You see how a pattern could have formed where it would have turned me negative, and then I would have come home. Maybe the dog annoyed me and I yelled at my dog. Maybe my wife did something that I didn't like, and I probably would have built up more aggravation until eventually I'm back into my old patterns of building up until I just explode. But no, I looked at the tyre, got the jack out, changed the tyre, the other tyre was holding there, everything's good. Beautiful. What I'm really trying to say is when something bad happens, if you look at it and just accept it for what it is and say, well, that's an isolated incident. Let's get on with it. Let's change the tyre. Let's move on with our day. If you can keep that type of positive thoughts going and that type of energy going, and if you can keep that going, soon you'll be like the Harlem Globetrotters and never have to go on a losing streak again. To get onto this winning streak and to start building that momentum, there are a few things that you can do to help kickstart that out. There are a few things that you can do to kickstart that. And one of them is to be kind to yourself. Say nice things to yourself. Don't call yourself an idiot. Don't get down and say that you're worthless. Those words and that type of language is not going to be very helpful to you. You tell yourself some good things. Say that you like yourself. That's one way of doing it. Just be a little bit kinder to yourself. Learn to laugh at yourself, But there are other ways, and I've introduced this the last probably week, where in the morning I wake up and the first things that I say is, something wonderful is going to happen for me today. And then I smile and I give the dog a pat and let her out, and I continue to smile and I make a coffee and I'll go and sit out and I'll look at the sun. I'm like, it's a beautiful day today. Something wonderful is going to happen for me today. And then just randomly throughout the day, I'll be just thinking to myself, something wonderful is going to happen to me today. And I say that a few times a day to myself. And then before I go to bed, the last thing I say while I'm cleaning my teeth, tomorrow something wonderful is going to happen for me. So then I go to bed in a good mood. I wake up and I repeat it again. After doing this for a couple of days, I started to notice wonderful things were happening for me. I was stuck on 556 subscribers. Now I'm at 566. So I've picked up 10 subscribers in the last 3 days. That's wonderful. Each day there's been a couple of subscribers. That's something wonderful happening to me. That's getting me closer to my first goal of getting 1,000 subscribers. And by the way, if you're not already subscribed and you like my content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me. And some other wonderful things that have happened is I've met some wonderful people and had some great conversations. And they've been wonderful because they've actually challenged my thinking and brought more knowledge into my life, something that I like to do. Like I said, I sold that car after 1 day of listing it. So every day, after 2 days of started saying that, something wonderful has shown up. Something wonderful has happened for me. And I acknowledge it. And I'm like, that was wonderful. I did have a wonderful day. Wonderful things did show up. Every day something wonderful has happened. And I've acknowledged it. There are wonderful moments happening all the time. But most of the time, we have our eyes closed to them. But now that I'm acknowledging them all, and pretty well much at that moment, I'm like, that was pretty wonderful. Thank you. Can I have some more of that, please? I keep noticing more and more of them showing up. And the same can happen for you. It doesn't take much to say in the morning when you wake up, something wonderful is going to happen for me today. Lunchtime rolls around, say it again. When you're having your dinner, say it again. At night time, say it again. Tomorrow, something wonderful is going to happen for me. And soon enough, if you get into the practice of saying that, things start to show up. Wonderful things start happening for you. Don't put expectations on it. Don't think that wonderful must mean, rainbows and butterflies. It could be just someone saying, I like your shirt today. A subscriber subscribes. 5 subscribers subscribe. You get a good car park. Wonderful. And when you start to see them and start to acknowledge them, more of them are attracted to you. So all those sayings that I've already mentioned, the ones about the shoe on the other foot will drop and the good times can't last forever, forget all that, because they can. And you can actually manifest them in a way that you don't even have to say anything about it, really. So forget everything that you know. Forget everything that the world tells you. And start not letting the bad shit get you down. And one of the worst things that you could ever say is when something goes wrong is, here we go again. Because the chances are if you say that, if you've just said that, the universe has heard you. And you could be staring at an unlucky streak once again. So don't say it. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you in the next video.